Hopefully I do it right this time.
As I'm eating these gummy bears here.
Gummy bears like the worst things to eat when you're talking. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. Okay, hi guys. Hello everybody. Hi. Oh, I didn't put our banner up. Let me do this real quick.
Is it shared to Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
I did it right this time.
We don't want to repeat of last time.
Yeah, no. Motivation. Wait, what did I call this? Motivation for cosplay. Yeah. Oh, right. Let's show that one.
Ooh, I see.
Okay.
Yay. Perfect.
How are you?
I am doing very well. How have you been doing?
Oh my gosh, I've been exhausted. Most of my big things are done now. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but yeah, most of my big
for your pageant.
No, I still have one more night for my pageant, so most that's the thing that's still left. But most of it is done. Like work stuff is good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Hi, gamer.
Hi. Thanks for watching. So I have been pretty exhausted just trying to like catch up on all that stuff, and the summer's going to be kind of quiet, which is good. And should be.
No, I get that. Like I've been trying to kind of go through all of my stuff and like clean and downsize the house.
Yeah.
Get rid of a lot of stuff. And I was kind of like, it's going well, but I was kind of wondering like, oh my gosh, like why am I so like fatigued all the time? Like I could seriously every afternoon, I'm like, I could fall asleep right now. And I mean, it's like a hard job. I'm like in and out of the garage. It's hot. The heat is super draining.
Yes.
I'm, like moving like bins of heavy stuff and like it's a lot, but I mean, it's going well.
Yeah, because like after Phoenix Fan Fusion, I like could not focus on like my next tasks. So I literally had to like just clean. I was like, okay, it's been a while. I haven't cleaned, like deep cleaned, and I just like deep cleaned my house, my cosplay room. I actually managed to, when I vacuum my cosplay room is when I'm like, okay. And you can see behind me, it's like it's a mess again. But yeah, we could talk about that a little bit about how to get your space ready.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree. I think like cleaning and organizing your space is a great way to get motivated, especially when you're like, you feel like maybe you want to start a project, but like all of your surfaces are like covered with like old projects or whatever.
Yes.
Like cleaning and organizing is like a good way to get motivated because then you're like, all right, my space is like ready to go. Like, let's do this.
Yeah. Oh, so let's start with intros before we skip ahead to our topic. I am Jinx Cosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2001, based in Metro Phoenix, Arizona. And I do a lot of video game cosplays. And yeah, so go ahead. Whoever's next.
Hi guys, I'm Liz from Ambrose Cosplay. I'm one of the other Arizona hosts. I've been cosplaying for a while. I think it's like 11 years now. If we're in 2022, that adds up.
Yeah.
And I guess I do mostly like Disney cosplay stuff, but a little smattering of everything. If there's a character that has an outfit that I like, I'll go ahead and make that.
Yeah, awesome.
And hi, I'm Amber Bright, and I am a Phoenix cosplayer / prop maker, and I am very late because I have had one hiccup after the other, including the dog getting stuck in a pile of pillows and my internet down for random reasons. So,
dog getting stuck in a pile of pillows.
Yeah, he has mobility issues. So sometimes if he lays down in something too squishy, he can't get back up. But he was like around the bed and
Poor
like
baby.
this like little wedged in area. And I'm like, how do I get in there and get you up when there's like this much room? Like, I don't even know how he got there. So
hi, Amanda. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi.
Yeah. So a little bit of like, we'll start with a little bit of what's the word? Wrap up of Gunpei. Gunpei's Ghibli Cafe Forest of Friends. It was a little event. It was really, really cute. It was at Miss Dessert. They did cancel the cosplay contest at the last minute. Just it was sprinkly, it was humid, it was for us Arizonaites, we are such wimps when it gets humid. Like it rarely ever gets humid, and when it does, we're just like, I'm such a wimp. Like I'm just like, ugh. So
I walked outside yesterday. I was like, no, I don't like any of this. I don't want to deal with any of this.
Yep.
The humidity is rough in Arizona.
Yeah, and the heat is just so stifling. So they were kind of like, we're just gonna cancel it. And I was like, that's fair. Like, not many people were like, even Sam had like her Hal jacket over her shoulders, but that was way hot. And I was like, there's no way I'm gonna wear Sophie. I'm way too hot for Sophie. And then there was really great like vendors, really cute merchandise. I bought a couple of things here and there. They had little gift baggies for the people that had done an RSVP ticket, and really cute macarons. Actually, I'm gonna let me pull up Sam's profile because she had shared it. So it was really nice. We had a drink, and I've been to, if you guys haven't been to Miss Dessert, it's really good. Drinks and desserts, and then the whole place was themed out for Ghibli Cafe. And I'm gonna pull up our pictures here. Share screen. So, ta-da! So I went in a little fashionable Kiki, and she went as Femhao.
Oh, you guys are so cute.
Yeah, you can see our little macarons there. There's a Totoro one. I don't know if you can see the Totoro one, but there we go.
Those are so cute. I love cute small things like that. Like,
I love that. That's so sweet.
They were so cute. They were so cute. And then all the tables were decorated too. You can see a little Hal Sophie little diorama there. And they had a little backdrop. Perfect. So cute. Yep, that's the same. Yeah, so it was nice.
That's
so
awesome.
anytime like there's like themed pop-ups, especially, I think are a lot of fun, because like the general pop-ups are good, but Shane Chandler says, why do we have cons during the summer? No one enjoys being hot in cosplay. Give us winter cons. Even I think in other states, like it's too humid. Like I really wanted to go to the Cosplay America, but that's in like I think North Carolina. Oh, it gets spoopy. And the humidity is like bleh.
Yeah, I get that summer is con season. I don't know if that like is because of like school scheduling or whatever. Like a lot of like students are off, families vacation in the summer, whatever. Whatever the deal is, I agree.
Issue too. Like a lot of places are cheaper to rent in the summer, especially.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah,
could be for any reason at all.
Yeah, so
I agree. More autumn and winter cons. More of them, please.
It does suck that for a couple of years pre-pandemic, we had like a good array of cons in the like November, December, January like stint, which for Phoenix is about as close to winter as you get. And then just I think the pandemic took most of them out. So
yeah, and it's hard for them to start up again too. So
yeah, I would definitely do a Fanfusion in like January or even like November.
Well, and it's moving to June next year, which is even like.
Wait, what's moving to June?
Phoenix Fanfusion is the first weekend of June.
I mean, it works for me because I do bikini cosplay, so like.
Yeah, but it's just like it's so hot. But it was okay. Like,
yeah, this year wasn't bad, but I also feel like I didn't really go outside.
Yeah,
very much. So
that's the trick. Get inside fast and stay inside. And as long as you can do those two things, you're good. But
and because
there was one year where it was like really actually quite cool. Like it was in the 80s outside during Phoenix Fanfusion weekend. And Sean and I went as characters from Fern Gully, so we weren't wearing very much. We were like freezing our butts.
That was 2019. That was 2019 because I wore I was surprised because like for the Fallout group I wore Soul Survivor, and I was like, oh my god, it's gonna suck, but it was okay. Like I was surprised how cold it was. Well, I mean, cold for us, like it's probably like boiling for like people in the north or something. But
meanwhile, I was stuck inside because I was, I think, guesting that year, 2019. Yeah, I was guesting. So, but
That was the last
I
year
love
we all
that
did that.
LACC is in December now, and WonderCon is in March, April. The perfect cons in California weather-wise. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, April
We'll
is perfect.
say-
I would say January to April is perfect for us.
Yeah. I will say I was just in Anaheim for Star Wars Celebration, and I was freezing my tuchus off. Like it was like 70 degrees during the day, and I was like, no, this is too cold for Amber. This is too cold.
Yeah.
Like
especially when we plan like how we plan our cosplays. So yeah.
Mhm.
So
my
guys,
husband and I just went to Oceanside, like on a beach trip. You know, we wanted to go to the beach, and it was like super cloudy. And like they were like, oh well, like it'll warm up, the sun will come out, and we're like, it better not, like that'll ruin our whole day if it does.
oh man. Yeah. So guys, we can start with kind of like motivation and cosplay. If you guys have noticed, like ever since this year's been tough for a lot of us hosts. Unfortunately, a lot of us have been going through some stuff like work or personal, just obligations that take us away from cosplay. And cosplay for me is like, it fills my cup. So like if my cup's already empty, it's like, it's hard for me to go back to cosplay and fill it up again. So we can kind of talk about kind of how you guys like start getting motivated when you're feeling like you have a project to start and you don't, like it's hard for you to start. Like what do you do, Liz?
Well, I think that so the start of a project is always like really motivating for me, just kind of naturally. Because I love like fabric shopping. So like being able to like pull my credit card out and being like, all right, we're gonna buy some stuff. Like I find that to be very exciting. I like the planning process, like finding screen caps, like collecting those reference images, making those decisions about like what kind of fabric do I want to use, you know, how much do I need, so on and so forth. So I find that to be motivating just on its own. But I can, you know, I find that like once the preparation is like all done, I start getting the stuff, sometimes I do lose some of that motivation because it's a little overwhelming to get started, especially on a really big project. So like when those moments do happen, usually what I'll try to do is pick like the easiest part of the cosplay and just kind of like get that out, get that done. It's like, okay, look, like it's already like you've already started it. Like you already have these pieces done. So just keep going. You kind of just keep that rolling. So that's something that I usually do if I have a hard time or I'm feeling overwhelmed near the beginning, is like pick an easy part and just do it and then be like, you already have part of it done. So just keep going.
So what pushes you to actually start that piece? Like say you're just like, oh my God, I just can't. Like there's stress, there's work, but you know, like maybe you have like an obligation or something. How do you push yourself?
I would say that having a deadline definitely lights that fire a little bit. But I have like a big, huge running list that goes like month by month. So I have all of my costume deadlines on there. Like I would like this piece to be done by this event or whatever.
So
and
good.
What I'll usually do is like break it down into its separate pieces and say, okay, so I'm going to start with, you know, this piece and this is everything I need to do for that. And I find that to-do lists work really well for me because I love crossing stuff off of them. So being able to like be like, oh, I finished this part today. I finished this part. And you can break it down as small as you want to. Which sometimes I do. I literally will like write out, you know, if I'm making a pair of pants, I will literally on the list write out all of the steps to make a pair of pants, like cut out the pieces, serge the edges, you know, whatever. And then it's like, okay, even if I do one thing today, I just cut out the pieces, I get to cross that out.
And so when you say you make the list,
if you're the type of person who likes to see that progression go up, keep in mind that apps like Cosplanner will allow you to put the steps in and then allow you to check them off and increase that percentage. So if you're the type of person who gets motivated by seeing percentages go up, seeing numbers go up, I really encourage you to do a step like that and do it in like a Cosplanner app, where you can have that kind of little dopamine hit of, oh, I went up 2% today. I went up 10% today, et cetera, et cetera.
I do use Cosplanner for that exact reason. I love that.
But you also have like a Google Doc, right, Liz?
Yeah, I do. It's like a running like Google Doc of like everything that I'm working on.
So sometimes
not just cosplay stuff, there's like personal stuff on there too. Like all of the cleaning and organizing that I'm doing is on there too. Like anytime I see something in the house, I'm like, oh, I want to like go through all of my shoes in my closet or whatever, I'll put that on the list.
That's so good. Like, I need that. Like, but you know, definitely like having something physical, writing things out, physical actions definitely help move things along. If you need a big whiteboard, like I have a whiteboard in my cosplay room. I haven't used it in a while, but it helps to have something visual. Sometimes I'll put pictures up of my you know, my cosplays. But yeah, Cos Planner is really great. I love it. It's a lot of fun too because you can put pictures in there and everything. Couple of comments here. Oh, Anthony says, hello everyone, are you all not in costume? This is about motivation and cosplay, and we were not motivated to dress up. So, nice shirt. Is that a cat? Yes, it's Gigi, because I'm like kind of Kiki.
You're Kiki.
Yeah. Amanda says, for me, that's Fruit Basket's movie coming out soon in theaters. Inspires me to do a simple Kyo cosplay. Plus, I'll be there with friends. Like Liz said, like events looking forward to are definitely helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Diana says, I love to check boxes too. I do the same thing. Yeah, I like the cos planner thing too. I just need to like get in the habit of opening it up more often.
What I really like about Cos Planner is usually at the end of the year, because you put in like how much time you spent on something. And so at the end of the year, like on my social media, I'll do like a breakdown of each of the projects I finished during that year and say like it took this much time. And I find that that's helpful for like if you're ever going to compete in a costume too, you can you know, talk about like, I mean, more time does not equal better necessarily, but you can talk about like, oh, it took me this long to do this, and I spent this much time on this portion, and it helped like budgeting too. You know, I've done a few like commissions based on things I've made before where people will be like, oh, can you make that for me? I know exactly how long it took me to make it the first time, so you kind of know what to charge for your time. So I find that to be really helpful too, to have a record of that.
Yeah, and a couple more comments here. Hagrid says there really is an app for everything. Yeah, I think there needs to be more cosplay apps, but hey, we'll see. Anthony says, oh, happy Father's Day to you all. I mean, none of us are fathers, but that's okay. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Thank you for joining us on Father's Day. And Amanda says, oh yeah, Jinx is GG from Key's Delivery Service. Yes. So as far as what was I saying? Oh, about apps and like, you know, if sometimes even physically writing them out, because I like at heart, I'm a journalist, like a journaler. I mean, I'm not a journalist. Sometimes writing physically helps me like organize thoughts and organize things. So sometimes you just need to like make a checklist and then post it up.
I have a little pink sparkly journal. That's my like cosplay planner journal, because for me, I'm the exact opposite of Liz. The part that I find the hardest is all the middle parts. I love getting started. Like, and one of the first things I'll do is usually take like something that I know is going to be fun for me to build on the cosplay and start on that. And I often kind of start on it just kind of like ramshackle. Like,
you just kind of dive in head first.
Yeah, I do. And then I'll step back and be like, okay, I've got this piece mostly done. Now let me figure out what the rest of it looks like. Because if I have one piece done kind of looking at me, then like it motivates me to get the rest done. Like one of the things I do when I'm working on a Twi'lek is I'll actually pull the Leku out and set the Leku somewhere visible for me. Like my real Leku are literally right here because I've been working on her. So like for me, it's helpful to get that piece and get it out and kind of put it right there so I kind of see it and I'm thinking about it. Even as I'm doing like chores and stuff like that, I'm kind of like percolating in my brain. And then I can usually sit down and write out what else I need to do and get over that middle hump. But like the first 15% and the last 15% are the easiest for me. It's all the middle part.
Stuff in the middle.
Where I'm like, oh, sewing. Ugh.
Chris Ganuelos is watching us from YouTube. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Cosplay is very much, and I think we can all agree, is a very much a visual hobby. Obviously, I mean, you know, and like I said, when I get started, I look for the reference pictures, like very first thing, and I sometimes even look for cosplays that other people have done.
Because I love looking up how people have done it in the past, because people are smart and creative and I can steal ideas, but I can also see things that I'm like, ooh, I don't
borrow
like
ideas,
books or like you know, I
Borrow
don't think that's
ideas.
gonna work, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And I get inspired too. Like when I see
Mhm.
maybe the way someone's made something,
Mhm.
especially if it's an obscure cosplay.
Mhm.
It's really nice to see how people have done things and get excited about doing your own. And it also helps, like, and this is how cosplay is like such a community hobby. It helps to see how people have put things into real life
Mhm.
and maybe how you can do it differently or how it'll work for you. You know, I learned how to do a lot of things from seeing other people's cosplays.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes you are the first, but a lot of times it's been done out there, and you know,
Yeah.
you can, and don't think I'm gonna make it better than that person. Just be like, this is gonna
Mhm.
work for me. This is how I
Right.
want to do it. This, you know, I'm gonna make it this way, or I prefer actually this color better because of my skin
Mhm.
type. You know, that's why I went as a, you know, red Bowsette than a blonde Bowsette because I prefer to be a redhead than a blonde.
Mhm.
So it definitely helps. I like to save pictures, and we've talked about this in the past how a lot of fandoms have gone above and beyond for their you know, for their fans, and they even provide like reference kits. Like Overwatch has a whole reference kit you can download from Blizzard that has even like the colors, like the hex, I think the hex number of colors, and has them in T shape all around. In case you don't have that, you know, watching the anime helps too. Getting screen caps so that you can see the 360, or even buying a figure.
Like Overwatch is a great example of cosplays that I like to see in person because the figures themselves don't have much delineation between what is cloth, what is foam, what is hard armor, et cetera, et cetera. So it's fun to look up and see what other people have made cloth and what other people have made armor, and see how, like, I'm going to interpret that for me and what that's going to look like for me. Like with Widowmaker, one of the things that she has on her kit are little like hip rolls, like hip thingies. And
Yes.
like everybody does that different. I've seen some people do them out of like the fabric. I've seen some people do them out of just like a thin bit of foam. I've seen some people, including myself, did them out of thicker foam. I've seen them 3D printed. So it's really like fun for me to look at how somebody has done something, and then I can get motivated to be like, ooh, I love this, but what if I did this instead? Or, oh, I love this idea. That's going to work really well for comfort level, et cetera, et cetera.
Papa Fallout says, "Hi, ladies." By the way,
Hi, Papa.
he's not our Papa, but he is Papa of Fallout. So happy
Mhm.
Papa Fallout Day to him.
Yeah,
So
there's your dad day
yeah.
salute.
So I actually did Widowmaker as well. I bought my bodysuit from Mick Costumes, my
Mhm.
costumes, and they had these little like fabric flap thingies.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
actually made my own. I made them out of foam. So I
Yep.
took like the floor mat foam, I covered it in Yaya Han's carbon fiber fabric.
Yep.
And I had to like bevel it so that it would curve, and then I think I sewed them directly onto my bodysuit, I think. So yeah, again, like really interesting ways to see everybody's different interpretations.
Yeah. And then Anna is a good one from Overwatch as well, because she has a coat with like what looks like armoring on it. So I've seen people do that all fabric, do that all foam. So it's really fun to look at how people take a 3D CGI image and what materials they devote to like it in real life, you know? And I think
definitely
different people attack that a different way, which is
definitely
really
love to see the different like material choices, or how people, you know, because like I made my Bowsette shell, and I kind of used a pattern by Kinpatsu. I didn't use the actual pattern, I just kind of like formulated it in my brain, but based off of what she, you know, had done in her video. And a lot of people made it out of foam, and I made mine out of fabric. So I found this really cool Yaya Han fabric. I created a pattern kind of like with trial and error. And then I made it a backpack. So for me, you know, it was functional. Not that a foam one can't be, because I'm thinking that could be too if the inside was like cloth. But you know, and some people made theirs smaller, bigger, and I made mine with a little pocket so that I could have it functional. So that definitely helps too. Matthew says late, but this episode is calling me out. Calls us all out. My motivation died. Being with friends at Phoenix revitalized it and reminded me why I wanted to cosplay in the first place. So that's a really good point. Is motivation for me happens from other people.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens from, I mean, I've been motivated from you guys. Like, even I think during the pandemic, I even told Liz specifically, like, she motivated me to start my pink Jasmine dress. Yeah, because I never thought that I would do it. And then, I don't know, you were just like pumping something out. And I'm like,
do it.
I was like, oh my God, like, I could do it too. So for me, it helps. And that's why I follow lots of cosplayers on Instagram. I'm not just saying that just because, like, blah, blah. And I will just go and look on Instagram sometimes and just be like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool.
I do think so. You know, if you're not feeling motivated, that could be a sign that you do need to take a break, which is fine and totally allowed. Like, please do take a break whenever you need to. Like, I do find that, like, I keep a social media schedule of like what I'm posting when, just so I can plan it out really easily and effectively. And I find that that is kind of motivating because I'm like, okay, I do have to have this video ready to go by this date or whatever, according to my calendar here. But there's definitely been, like, this past week, I've been working on stuff for Her Universe because I'm doing that again this summer. And you have to keep it a secret until the show. So I don't like have anything new right now. And so, like, I had some stuff on my social media calendar, but I was kind of on a roll with my Her Universe stuff that I just like wiped out that whole week. It was like, no posting this week. Just, I'm not going to set this aside and make something else just so I have something to show, you know? So it's like, if you
the pressure, the social media pressure,
take a break.
The social media pressure is real and it's intense. And I hate going on to my Facebook Manager app, especially if like this past like 2 weeks, I haven't really posted anything because we were at Star Wars Celebration and then I was in quarantine and I was exhausted. And like, I go on to the Facebook Manager app and it's like, your engagement is down 75%. And I'm just like, Jesus, like, this is
why are you rude? Don't be mean.
Oh my God. It's like right there. And like, and they make it in red too. They're like, your engagement is down 65%. I'm like, I know I haven't posted anything. Like, I've been half dead. Leave me alone. Like, so like a lot of the times I will like circumvent that and like post through Instagram or like through like the Facebook app instead of the business suite, just so I don't have to see things like that. Cause like things like that can be really demoralizing and really like
discouraging.
Bad for your psyche. Like,
and I think it helps. Like, a lot of people are like, I don't have content. Honestly, I repost a lot of old content. A lot. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with it because it's still stuff it's still content that I created. Why should I, you know, like give it up because it's like a year old or even like 10 years old? Especially with, you know, the way algorithms work, not everyone's seen all of your stuff. So don't feel bad to reshare something. For example, let's see. So, you know, I always think of like hashtags. Like Fairy Friday or Moana Monday, Tifa Tuesday or whatever, Work in Progress Wednesday. And then I just try and think of things that just match that, regardless of how big or small, you know, the information is. I've shared stuff all the way back to like, you know, 15 years ago for whatever reason. And if you're in a lull, and I still have problems sharing. So after Phoenix Fan Fusion, I think I didn't share anything for like 2 weeks because I was so burnt out. But it's easy to get in there, especially if you change your Instagram to a business Instagram, then you can post from both. If you guys don't know this, we'll have a social media episode, but you can post from your business manager both to Facebook and Instagram, which makes it a lot more motivating, I guess, to do it, because I hate posting from my phone. I know it's like a thing, but I hate it. Like, I am not I don't like typing. And then, of course, I have a lot of shortcuts that I have on my desktop that I copy paste. So anything that you can do to make the steps easier. So I actually listened to this book, and I listened to it because I can't focus on reading it, Atomic Habits. And it's really, really good. If you guys have not read it or listened to it, by James Clear, it's a great, great, great self-development book. Helps walk you through how to create habits. And one of the key things there is to make like the good habits more desirable, easier to access, easier to accomplish, more accessible. So anything that you have that you can make it easier. Like I made a text doc with a bunch of hashtags, a bunch of descriptions for pretty much all of my costumes. So if I'm really not motivated to share something on Instagram, I can just go, okay, it's Tuesday, I'll share Tifa, and here's my, my hashtags.
I am 100% for making anything easier that you can. So like foam and warbler are very much things that like I'm not very good at. I'm not very good at something, or I feel like I'm not very good at it. I try to like shy away.
Really quick, just to clarify, when we say make things easier, we mean make things easier for you according to your motivations and tendencies and stuff like that. Like some things might be more complicated, but if it works for you, it works for you. But
like I was like not I had all of my foam, I think like stored kind of in like a bin that was like under other stuff. So it was hard to get to it. So that kind of added another layer of like, oh, well, I don't want to work on it today because then I'd have to move everything and like whatever. So I ended up reorganizing a while back, and I have all of my foam like rolled up, and it's kind of like just in a little basket together out in the open. So there's like no excuse. I can just pull it out. There's nothing in the way. I found that was really helpful because like I was avoiding working on it because I was nervous to work on it and it was hard to get to. So it was like two things that were easy to be like, well, I just won't do it today. I just won't do it today. And I just never do it. But now that it's easy to get to, I'm like, all right, just pull it out and let's just do it.
Yeah. And like Amber mentioned, like I put projects, well, my dress form's like having a break, but I put projects on my dress form to see them physically. Like she said with her Leku, like it helps to put things up so that when you're kind of like sitting around, because I work in my office too. And so that, it's kind of like looking around and be like, oh, I need to work on that later. So it really helps motivate when you see things physically.
So for me, the big one is like Matthew was saying, is deadlines. Like I found over the pandemic that like, if you had asked me 3 years ago, oh, Amber, what would you do with a year of just like no deadlines? I would have been like, oh my God, I would make so much stuff. Like I would make all these things. Well, it came and I did nothing because without having like an end goal for me, like I just don't get it done. So we found that like scheduling photo shoots, scheduling, these like doing meetups with people and stuff like that, that helps me have like a framework to get things done. And it's been hard because like, especially right now, we just went to Star Wars Celebration and it has us really rethinking conventions because so many of my friends got sick from COVID. And like, it was very stressful for us to come back and have that 10-day waiting period of like, okay, did we escape it or not? So like, it's definitely a complicated conversation around having meetups and conventions and stuff like that. But like, we've organized it into like, okay, this weekend we're going to do a weekend trip to Prescott. So I'm going to get, Morgan done. And this weekend is this, and this weekend is this. So, for me, having those things that I'm like, okay, I have a due date for it. Like that helps kind of kick me into gear. Because if I don't have a due date, I'm just like, nah, I haven't had a video game con to go for. I have Panther from Persona 5. I have all the pieces. She's not wearable because I don't have a thing that I'm wearing her to. So she's not.
Like I've had the materials for. Yeah, I've had the material for Symmetra, Magician Symmetra, and I just have never started it because I was like, I'm going to make it for Gamon Expo 2020. And of course, that was just like long gone. So it definitely helps to have, even if it's not an event, photo shoot helps. It doesn't need to be like a professional photo shoot. You can just get with a friend and be like, okay, let's aim to do photos for this outfit on this day if that's what you need to do and there's no events coming up. I know it was really hard for everybody again, like when there was no events in, the last 2 years. But then like people discovered like TikTok and stuff. So it to motivate them. So if there's something else that you need to motivate yourself, maybe you're not an in-person cosplayer. There's a lot of like, how do you say, like online events going on. There's activities like Red for Threaded does
Red Threaded.
Red Threaded does like fall for costume in October. There's a lot of these kind of campaign things that you can do as well online to help you stay motivated. It also helps to join groups too, like online groups as well, sharing your cosplay. Maybe you're seeing other people's cosplays. So
I find that like, so a challenge for me with motivation is when things go wrong. I do get discouraged if something doesn't turn out the way that I want it to. I kind of am like, okay, well, you know, like I don't want to work on it anymore. I kind of lose my motivation. And something that I, you know, usually do to break out of that, because I know that is a challenge for myself, is I always tell my husband I need a win, I need a victory, and that will usually like, you know, give me that motivation to continue on or to like redo a piece or fix it or whatever. Or it, you know, just be like, okay, I'm just going to keep going with the rest of the costume, even though I don't like how this part turned out. And so like, usually what I'll do is it might not necessarily be for that same costume. It might be just like some other random project, like a t-shirt that I'm putting vinyl on, or like an art piece or whatever, just something that's small that I know I can do well. I'll like make it really quickly and then I'll feel good about like, I'm like, all right, I'm actually pretty good at this.
I can actually do things.
I kind of have the motivation to go on after stuff like that happens. But that is a big challenge for me, is I do get discouraged when something doesn't turn out the way that I want it to. I kind of tend to lose my motivation after that.
Yeah. Chris says realizing a con is 2 weeks away is the ultimate motivation. That is con crunch. I don't know if it's motivation because you're like forced to do it or else. So more like con crunch. But when we, you know, I always try and get my project started way before. Can I say that it's always successful? No, it's mostly never successful, but I'm definitely working on it.
The effort is there.
The effort is there. Yeah. So also another thing that helps for me, so I'm kind of similar to Liz too, where I love to plan, I love to gather the materials and stuff. One thing that helps motivate me is that I want to wear something. So for me, one of my goals to get to is to be able to wear something, even if it's just to like try it on and fit it. Like that is when I start visualizing, okay, I'm getting somewhere. All the beginning stuff, the cutting out the pattern, the, you know, piecing the pieces together, I hate that part, but I go through it really fast because I want to start seeing it like actually coming to life. So once I actually can get into the actual construction, motivating me is to see an actual product. That's why I say actual a lot. So that helps. I want to be able to show people something.
Sometimes you can do like if you find that the dopamine for you comes once it's all on, sometimes doing like a mini fitting or even like a makeup test. And I see this in my Twi'lek groups all the time, because the act of body painting is so daunting to people that sometimes they put it off. And sometimes just putting just the face makeup on, if that's important to your character, or even if you've just gotten the wig or whatever, and like taking a couple of test shots and you're like, ooh, I'm starting to get excited for this. I'm starting to get excited for what it looks for, or it's going to look like. Like if the thing that keeps you going is seeing it all together at the end, giving yourself those little bites of, oh, I did a makeup test today, I'm really excited for it. Or I did a fitting of this piece and I wore it out, or whatever, you know, like don't be afraid to give yourself those little, you know, bites to keep on going through the parts that you don't like as much.
That's a good point, because that's a good point, because you could also like wait to like purchase items, you know, in succession. And sometimes that's like, ooh, next I'm going to buy this. Maybe you even need to make a schedule for yourself of when you buy your items, you know, due to your budget or whatever, if you can't buy them all at once. Sometimes that's fun to look forward to too. And then I would say maybe holding other people, like having other people hold you accountable as well. If maybe you're going to do a cosplay with a friend or in a group. I can't say that groups are always motivating, because I know all of us have been like, a group. But
groups are such a double-edged sword. And I feel like the more you do them, the more you learn what works for you, or specifically who works for you. But it's definitely one of those things where you learn.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that if you have never done groups before, start with something chill and easy. I would not jump into a competition group. Just jump into maybe meetups. Even generic meetups are a good way to start. So say they're going to say, hey, we're going to do a Demon Slayer meetup in the park. That's a really great way to start, because then maybe you can find people in the meetup that kind of have similar motivations as you. I don't know.
Start with something low stakes.
Yes.
In a group, you jump into a group competition, you will very quickly learn who takes it the most seriously.
Yeah, especially if you're new to competition.
If you have a big gap between who's taking it seriously and who's not, that is instant stress. So
yeah, so definitely, I would say that competitions are not always motivational. They can be very, very, discouraging, especially for some people that might have a harder time, with confidence. They might see other competitors posting, I'm gonna be in the contest, and they're starting to be like, whoa, I know that person's really good.
Cosplay is supposed to be fun, right? That doesn't mean it won't have challenges. That doesn't mean you won't get frustrated ever. Like if you're like trying to get good at a sport or anything, really, there's gonna be like challenges that come up. And that's fine. But it's, for the most part, it's supposed to be fun.
I remember the first time I made a bodysuit, the zipper was completely off. And I remember taking it and throwing it on the ground and being like, I'm never doing this again. And I didn't touch it for like a month. Like, it's
supposed to be something that you look forward to, something that you're like, oh, I can't wait to work on this or whatever. So if you find that you're getting super stressed out to the point where like your health is being affected, or you're like just beyond frustrated, it is a good idea to take a step back, because then you're just doing an unpaid job, basically.
Yes.
So that doesn't mean you won't ever have challenges. Like, you certainly will, especially when you're learning new things, you're trying to improve your skills. But if you're like not having fun at all and you are dreading working on something, well, then maybe just don't.
And don't be afraid to buy it too. Like, I hated learning how to sew bodysuits. I'm glad I did, because for me, like, the reward is building up my skills and working through that, improving. I can do something. But like, if something's honestly not rewarding to you, don't do it. Like, I buy a lot of my sewn cosplays because sewing is not rewarding for me, and I don't like doing it. Like, I like being able to say I've learned and done it, but it's not rewarding for me. So a lot of my sewn costumes are bought or commissioned from somebody else, because I know what I enjoy and it's not sewing. So like that's okay.
Yeah, it should be rewarding for you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if competing is something that is very rewarding for you, getting to show it off on stage, then awesome. Like, definitely go for it.
Yeah. And for example, like, sewing for me is rewarding. Sometimes I love to buy the props, especially if it's like licensed collectible stuff. That kind of helps motivate me. Maybe I'll buy that and I'll be like, ooh, I need to make the costume to go along with it.
It can be very motivating to be like, oh, look, I don't have to do this. Like,
exactly.
Look, it's just coming. Yay.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely a lot of different ways to motivate yourself. Another thing that I think, so when we kind of go out broader than just cosplay, one thing that motivates me, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, is cleaning. I know cleaning sucks, but when you're kind of like knee deep in stuff and you're looking at your workspace and you're like, I only have this much space to like work, sometimes you need to drop everything and clean, and it helps reset. And if you've never noticed that your brain feels clearer when your house or your surroundings are clearer, I mean, it's completely true. The more cluttered your life is, the more cluttered your brain will be. So for me, it definitely helped, even in my whole house. So my whole house, I had to clean before I could focus on anything, because I'm the primary cleaner, unfortunately. So, and my sister was moving. So there was a lot going on. My sister was moving out. I was preparing for events. And then Alan was working so much. So I was like, I'm the one that's going to do this. So I went and cleaned the floors, the ceiling fans, everything, came upstairs. I work room to room. So if I'm in the living room, I will put stuff together that go to another room. And then I just dump things in those other rooms until I get to them. So it can be kind of stressful until I actually get to the point where I need to. and cleaning my cosplay room was one of the last places I cleaned. But when it was clean, I was like so ready to start the next project. It's like empty table, you know, all my supplies are back. I put all my supplies in labeled boxes on shelves where I can see them. And that's super helpful. Yeah. And that's super helpful too, because I'm like, zipper, check, you know, Velcro, check. It's like, it's all there, and I can just do what I need to do. Again,
my system is absolutely clear totes with a marker on the end, because then if I need to change it, you just alcohol the marker off and redevote
That's a good point.
Something I've been adding to my to-do list is, you know, I'll have like the due date or whatever for a project, whether it's a photo shoot, or it'll just say complete, you know, this project. And then right after that, I will put on my list to store all of the materials that I used for that project. So just immediately put them away as soon as it's done. I find that like a lot of the fabrics would just kind of pile up, and I would put new project fabrics on top of the old ones. And then I would be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had 5 yards.
I do have a pile up.
Like, why did I buy more? I had a bunch. It's because I was just piling stuff up. So now I clean up a project immediately after it's done. Any leftover materials, whether that's like Velcro or fabric or whatever, gets put away where it belongs.
Good. Yeah, I definitely try and put things away as I go. But also when I'm like in the thick of things, I will have this habit of just dumping stuff off the side of my table. I just like, sometimes if I just need to focus, like I'm just like, I'll clean it later. But then it gets
picturing you just like swiping everything off the table.
Yeah. Sometimes I do when I'm in the thick of it. And for that's motivating for me, because if I'm just in the zone to make, the cleaning part might slow me down. So it really depends also on how you're feeling. But it definitely helps to reset and have things labeled, have all your equipment out. It's hard. I know it's harder for people who don't have like a dedicated space for crafting. Whatever you can do to keep things as organized as possible. Always like put things into totes as much as you can. Put them
if you have like a Velcro area, then you know where the Velcro goes. Like I feel like there's no excuse then. It's not like, oh shoot, like I have Velcro here, here, and here. Like you have like the Velcro drawer, and that's where the Velcro lives all the time.
Velcro, you can do all your fasteners.
Yeah, for me, because cosplay and like prop making is as much part, like it's my job. It's not just like my hobby. For me, motivation becomes very important. Like my store hasn't been open in a year because I hit a wall where I wasn't getting the motivation to get stuff done, and I was getting behind on orders, and I was like, okay, we're going to put a pause on this. But like one of the things that helps me is kind of the counter to that is getting set up. So I'll say, like, I'll be like, I don't really feel like doing work tonight. I don't really want to do it, but I'll just get set up. Like, I'll just put everything out where it needs to be. I'll get my casting set up. I'll put the gloves and the scale and the resin and stuff like that. And then at that point, it's easier to kind of like trick myself into being like, okay, well, I'm set up, so I'll just do a little bit. Like, I'll just do a little bit. 10 minutes, and then I'll stop. And then, of course, the other part of ADD where you hyper focus kicks in, and then 4 hours later, I'm like, look at how much I got done. So like,
so again, this is actually part of the Atomic Habits techniques is like, for example, like if you want to write every day, then at night you would put out your notebook and your pen on your desk so that when you come in, you're like, oh, it's already here. I know you're still doing the same stuff. You're still doing the same actions, just different times, but also it has to do with your mental states. So in the morning, I am not a morning person. I'm absolutely not a morning person. When I get up, my coffee, I have a little coffee station. So my coffee's there, I don't need to go and pull it out. I have a little tray with all my coffee stuff. So you may not even notice that you do it in your life, but we're like, we have to have a coffee station. So then I can put my coffee straight away, and then that helps me focus.
Well, and again, I think literally like carving out time to do your stuff too, to say, from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., this is when I have time to work on this. Even if you don't use the whole time, that time block is like kind of there for you, almost like an appointment, right? Like you have like that time is now set aside and it's like non-negotiable. I've been wanting to get better at digital art for like a long time. But usually what I would do is I would be like, okay, well, I'll draw a little bit before I go to bed. But then I would work on other things and be like, oh shoot, like I gotta go to bed now. I'm already like late going to bed.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing instead, because it's not good to look at screens right before you go to bed anyways, is I moved that to, okay, you're gonna do digital art for at least 15 minutes right after you eat lunch, because I'm off. I'm off work right now for the summer. Well, for forever, because I quit my job. But no. Oh no!
I know we lost Amber.
So I've been like, okay, at least 15 minutes after lunch every day. I've been like drawing. It doesn't even matter what I'm drawing. Just I draw something, and sometimes I go for longer than 15 minutes, and that's fine. But I have that time like set aside. So it's like, okay, you're finally going to actually practice digital art instead of just being like, maybe one day I'll be magically good at it without any effort. Maybe.
Yeah, it definitely helps to like time block. This is really important when you work for yourself or you work from home as well. I used to have such a huge problem like defining my end time, because the work that I do kind of varies. It's not necessarily a 9 to 5. So I would try and have like a hard stop time, and then, or I would schedule when I'm going to do things that are not work. Like Liz was saying, after lunch, I'll do this or do that. Again, make things accessible. If you have your sewing machine put away, sometimes some people can't keep it out, but if you can at least put it somewhere where you can see it, maybe up on a shelf instead of away in a closet, that would help too. It is difficult when you do have to put everything away. I used to live in a 1-bedroom apartment when I was living in Dubai with Alan, and everything had to go back in the closet, like, because I used my dining table as my sewing table. So that was more difficult too. And I totally get it. I totally get it for people that don't have, the benefit of an actual space. But sometimes you might want to keep something out, again, like a picture. Sometimes if all you can keep out is a picture, put it on the wall, that might be enough to help you stay motivated.
It's hard, and it's especially hard depending on like what your schedule is. If you only have half an hour and like 20 minutes of that is setup / breakdown, that's very demotivating, so it's one of those things where when I was using my dining room table as my like work table as well, one of the things I started doing is actually setting things up on like plastic lids and stuff like that. So I could set up on the plastic lid, have everything kind of like laid out. And then when it was time for dinner, I would just take that lid and put it in the other room. So like I kind of made myself like a little mobile station, because for me, the biggest hurdle is just getting started. Like if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Like it's just gone.
Yeah, I agree.
So
and if you guys kind of were like me, where I had a job that was very draining, and I would look forward to making stuff all day at work. I'd be like, as soon as I get home, I'm doing this. I'd be so pumped, but then I get home and I'm super tired. And so it was really, really hard to, I would eat dinner and then be like, oh my gosh, I'm ready for bed. So what I would suggest, if that's kind of your situation, whether it's a draining job or you're just like a stay-at-home parent, or, whatever your situation is like that, is little tiny baby steps. Like what I would do is like, okay, I have a half hour until I have to go to bed. Just plug in the iron and just iron these 2 things. That's easy. You can do that, right? Like all you have to do is hold the iron and move it back and forth. And I would find that once I kind of took those little baby steps, it's like, well, okay, since I'm here, I iron the 2 pieces. I'll just go ahead and pin them together. Okay, well, since I pin them together, I'll just take them to the machine. It'll take 2 minutes to sew these 2 together. So like little tiny steps. If you can kind of like persuade yourself, like just plug the iron in, just iron 1 piece, just do this. And you can kind of get yourself going that way, even when you are feeling kind of fatigued.
Sometimes it helps me to like wash the fabric. So I know a lot of people don't wash their fabric, but you should wash your fabric. So sometimes it helps me to be like, I can't do anything until I wash this fabric. So I'll run it, the edges in my serger, and I'll wash them. And then that will like help me be like, okay, yeah, now I'm ready. So like Liz said, like small things, because even washing the fabric doesn't take any effort. You just put it in the washing machine and then you dry it or whatever. And then that can kind of change your mindset too, of like, oh, now I can, now I'm ready to actually do stuff. So that can definitely help too. There was something else I wanted to mention, and now I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So I have this little cart here. I know it looks like it's full of stuff, but this could help as well because on here I keep like active projects. And for the first time in my life, I have way too many active projects. I never have this many active projects at once. But I also keep, any materials that I'm using, patterns, like notions and stuff. I keep them on this rack. That way, if I do want to work on something else, I move things to the rack. Now, the rack I need to go through because there's some projects I'll probably put off until later, like they're my winter outfits that I never made for winter. I'm definitely not going to work on them until it gets a little cooler. So if you are limited on space, this could be a good idea too, or any kind of like cart that you can like wrap up and move out of the way could help as well. Because you'll still see the cart, but it's not like a mess everywhere. So another idea, putting something with your smaller space, maybe a cart that you move out of your room to work in the dining room, and then you put everything back in the cart and you take it back to wherever it goes. So that could be very
kind
helpful.
of like psychologically like trick yourself sometimes too. So like I would pick like a podcast or a YouTube channel series or even a soundtrack that I like really wanted to listen to. But I would only listen to it when I was working on something that I knew was like really hard or I was having a hard time getting motivated on. So I would be like, okay, so I want to listen to the next episode of this podcast, right? But you can't put your headphones on while you're washing your face and then going to bed. So you have to go work on this for a little bit if you want to listen to the next episode. So like I would kind of like trick myself a little bit with some of the more challenging things I was having a hard time getting motivated on because I was like afraid to start them or whatever. To be like, okay, well, you can't listen to the next episode unless you actually go do this. So I would be like, all right, so I'll put my headphones on, I'll start listening, we'll start working on this.
Sometimes I have to like put on like something on Netflix. So sometimes I'll watch the fandom I'm making for too. That's kind of how I got into like Teen Titans and because I did it for my family. And sometimes I'll just go back and rewatch stuff that I'm making fandoms for or that I want to make fandoms for. And that helps me motivate for cosplay too.
And kind of along that vein, if you have a friend, and this will either work really well or it will not work at all, but having a crafting buddy, if you have somebody who will come and sit, and it's for people who have ADD, it's called body doubling. If you have somebody being productive and sitting and working in the same area, like I'll have friends come over and they'll just work on their own thing. And then suddenly I can be like super productive and motivated because I can kind of leech off their productivity, and it can backfire. Like I've definitely had some people over that I was like, oh, we spent the entire time talking, or I spent the entire time helping you, so I got nothing done. So like picking your crafting buddy, and like if you want that, if you want like a hangout session under the guise of working on cosplay, like that's legit. But like I know when I go to Sam's house to work on something, we're gonna get stuff done.
Yeah. See, for me, I'm a very social, chatty person. I can't do that.
Yeah.
If there's somebody else around me, I just want to chat.
Yeah.
So for some people it works, for some people it doesn't. Yeah.
Like for me, it works if I have somebody coming over who is just going to sit and work on their stuff, and like we call it cat social, where you're in the same area but you're not really interacting too much. I love that. Like if anyone wants to just like come work at my dining room table and like talk to me like once every half an hour, like that works for me.
Yeah.
I'm a very cat social person. Like, but you know, it's all about knowing what works for you and who works for you. And armor parties can be great motivators in their own right, but they can also be bad for productivity. So
so definitely you got to figure out what works for you. Yeah.
And if you've never tried it, try it. Try if you have a friend being like, hey, do you wanna come over and work on something? And are like one of the things I find helpful to ease the like social pressure of, I have to entertain this person, is to put something on the TV that we both kind of like, so we can both kind of like just listen to it and work, and we're not chatting, but we're both still working and still kind of there. So I like quiet armor parties.
I have to like put something, even when I work from home, when I put a podcast on, that actually starts to change my mindset of like, okay, you need to focus now. So you can start doing habits like that too. If maybe putting music on helps you focus, or
I do the podcast thing, and like I like weirdly associate certain costumes with like different like murders and stuff now.
Yeah, me too.
Because of like, you know, like if you listen to like true crime podcasts or whatever, like anytime I take a costume out, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's when I was listening to this one about this crime that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I guess that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So we are at the end. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat quickly while we kind of, wrap up and say where we can find everybody. So Liz?
I'm Liz from Ambrose Cosplay. You guys can find me at Ambrose_cosplay on Facebook, Instagram, Instructables. I said last time I was going to try out Twitter. I haven't done that yet. I do have a Twitter. I just haven't tweeted.
I have a Twitter. I don't even know what I do with it.
We'll see. So I hope you guys stay motivated, but please take breaks when you need them. There's no shame in taking a break. You can come back refreshed with new ideas ready to go. Do not work yourself into the ground over cosplay, all right?
Yeah, don't do that. Oh, Amanda says, I like these ideas. Thank you. Hopefully they help you guys. Yeah, and Amber?
I'm Amber Bright. AmberBrightProps.com is my website, and you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm trying to motivate myself to getting back into TikTok because it is fun, but it's a lot of work for me.
It is a lot of work.
It is a lot of
so much work. Like for me to make a week's worth of content is about 4 hours of work.
Yeah.
And that's like if I've planned out ahead of time what TikToks I'm going to do. So like,
y'all, that's intense.
Yeah, if you see a TikTok like cosplay creator, like fucking give them a shout out because it's a lot of work to make.
Well, in any app where you're kind of expected to post like multiple times a day, I'm like, forget that. Like multiple times a day.
No,
we'll hear from you multiple times a week if you're lucky. Like,
oh my gosh, I know. Yeah. And guys, I am Jinx from Jinx Cosplay. My website is jinxcosplay.com. You can find me on social media at thejinxcosplay.com, and Cos Talk Live we stream usually every Sunday at 12 p.m. when we're motivated, and even when we're not, on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And we will see you guys next week. Thermo Cosplay is taking a break. She's actually working on a house that she bought, very much real life responsibilities. So next week I'm not sure what we're doing, but I'll get a schedule out soon, hopefully. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Yeah. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Stay motivated.